But are you aware? You know, well, you know Will Smith, of course, the actor. Do you know his wife? Well, no, it's not even his wife. Jada. She's acting the maggot at the moment. She's really, she's going on a tour at the moment.
So she's releasing it basically
A book,
a memoir, basically. I think it is.
Is it a book or a memoir?
A book, yeah.
Yeah. About her. Is it about her life or something? But she's frustrating me because she just keeps telling, like, it's like unprovoked telling on herself, telling on Will.
Yeah. So what the issue is, they presented a certain version of their lives to the public.
Yeah.
For many years, and now
he slapped somebody on the stage.
Yeah, exactly.
For her.
Yeah.
For her.
And she's like, who told you to do that?
Yeah. Which that's the annoying part, because she said the first thing that was ringing in her mind was, how dare he call me his wife? Because they're not married.
They're not married legally.
Yeah, like they're separated or whatever it is, and he says, keep my wife's name out your mouth,
out of your lips.
Yeah, and then he goes, slaps Chris, and then all she could think is like,
I'm not your wife.
Which I just think is mad.
I don't know, but like, in all fairness, I guess there's two ways to look at it. You can look at her and be like, why would she think that? But then also, if you guys have been quote unquote divorced,
but nobody knows. Nobody knows.
I know, but if you've been divorced on everything but paper since 2016, then it is kind of crazy for you to then act.
100%. It's just the fact that that's all you could think of. Like, what about him? Like, is he okay? Like,
I think she's bipolar.
Yeah, I hear it.
Diagnosed, because she's all over the place.
No, I think she is all over the place. Yeah, and she's presented as that for many years.
Yeah, she's all over. I mean, like, I used to really like her. Just as this very small but fierce woman.
Yeah.
And then I think the first thing that rang a bell for me were their children.
Yeah.
When, I mean, if you look at Jadine now, that's his name, isn't
it? Yeah.
He's totally lost.
Yeah.
You know?
He had a picture just recently where he's
his whole teeth is gone. I could literally take the pliers and pull them out. They're like completely destroyed. And obviously it's something he's either eating or smoking or whatever it is. He looks, for want of another word, he looks lost.
What would you like? You know, when you see, like, when I see celebrities' kids go on a mad one, you know, they kind of go on this like sort of self-discovery, but they just end up looking mad weird, and they all just kind of like end up just being weirdos in essence. Is that, I always wonder why, and I always think, like, when you have access to almost anything you want at any time you want, how does that play on someone's mind? You know, how does that play on the kid's mind as well?
I think it starts from your parents.
Yeah.
I think...
God bless you.
Yeah.
Access isn't necessarily you having the morals or the values from the very beginning.
Yeah.
You know, access is not necessarily a good thing.
Yeah.
Exactly. From a young age especially.
Yeah.
This is really a good thing.
No barriers, no borders.
You just hit the nail on the head, Tomiwa. It is from the home. Even now, when they talk about antisocial behavior in the community, and they're calling for, we need more guards, we need we need police on the street. I'm like,
we need better parents.
At 11 p.m., where is the mother or the father? How do they not know where their son is?
Honestly.
Why would you put the responsibility on the school or the community group or the guards? Putting pressure on all these resources just because you were too stupid to do your job.
Yeah, I remember there was one time I was in town.
Yeah.
You know where ILAC Center is, where the Lewis stop is now.
Yes.
Yeah. There was a row of flats, right? And I remember I was coming from church with the pastor's wife at the time. So we parked right beside the flats, and this was probably like 10 p.m. at night. We were going to the car, and then as we're walking to the car, I just saw a water bottle just splat in front of us. And we're just like, oh, that's really strange. We looked up, we didn't see anything. We walked to the car, and this kid came out and threw the water bottle, and my pastor's wife just closed the door, and the water bottle hit the window. And she opens the door, she goes, "What are you doing? Why would you be doing that?" And the mom of the child comes out over the balcony and goes, "Don't be giving out to my kid. He's only having fun."
Yeah.
He's only having fun.
And in that moment, I realized, I'm like, I don't want to speak on anyone, but like, that kid is lost. And it's very obvious he's lost because look at his parents.
That's it.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's so crazy.
So, I mean, you look at an entire society and it starts from home. Everything starts from home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when kids are in foster care, it starts from home.
Yeah.
Why is that child ended up in foster care?
Yeah.
And sometimes people will say, I mean, I've said this a few times, and I've had a few Irish people come and be like, how dare you say that? Don't you know the struggles? You don't know what we parents go through. I'm like, shut up. I've got 4 kids. And I know where they're at 8 p.m.
Yeah.
At 12 midnight, they're in bed. So what's your problem?
Yeah.
So you don't tell me that. You can say that to me if I didn't have children.
Yeah.
But I have 4 kids. I've been through the motions 4 times. I have 3 grandkids. I know what my daughter is going through because of the lessons she's picked from home when she was growing up.
Yeah.
So don't tell me I don't know your pain.
Yeah, okay.
So,
Hop it.
I want to let that finish.
no, you're
Hop in,
right.
bro. Hop in.
So, I mean, yes, I do understand that, there are privileges for some people.
Yeah.
I didn't have a privilege. Oh, well, maybe I had a bit of it when I was growing up. But then towards the later part of my life, I had to meander my way through life.
Yeah.
But the thing that saved me and saved my sisters were the lessons my mother had instilled in us.
Yeah.
And I have half brothers who ended up on the streets. Because I come from a really large family, right? And it was every mother to their children.
Was your polygamous house?
My father had 7 wives and
Wow,
27
wow, okay,
children.
yeah.
7 wives is strong,
Yeah.
The man was busy.
Yo.
How many kids in total?
Do you want me to tell you now?
Yeah.
27.
Oh, wow.
Heavy, bro. Yeah.
I'm number 16 in the line.
Why does that not happen anymore?
Because we don't need it. We don't need it.
What? I need it. What?
We don't
Get
need
me
that.
27. Get me 7.
I think there's no way one man can have the capacity to spread himself to 27 kids. It's impossible.
No, it's impossible, but I have to give my father some credit because the one thing he offered us was an education.
Okay.
Look, what I can give you for sure is an education. If you want it, I'll do everything I can. Before he retired, I'll do everything I can. And when he retired, I mean, it's the one thing he said to the moms as well. Look, you're all on your own now. And so my mom's literally sold the clothes off her back for us to go to school, to make sure that we're in school. And I'm the first of my mom, and when I was older, I made sacrifices to ensure that my sisters went to school.
Went to school.
And I suppose that, in a way, was responsible for me going to school even as an older person because I'd made the sacrifices for my younger ones. I had started to work earlier in my years, like worked as a young lady so that I could save up money for my sisters to support my mom, my sisters to go to school. But how was I able to do that in the midst of so many temptations, Because I kept remembering what my mom had instilled and reminding me that, look, and plus in my father's family, they tried to prophesy that because we were all girls, my mother's children, that were all girls, that were going to end up, the only thing we would ever be good for would be selling our bodies.
Or what? Like on a thing?
On the streets.
On a only OF thing. That's crazy.
So I desperately wanted to prove to them, I'll show you. That'll be way better. So
That's bad.
Why would I want to get where that thought came from, that just because there's all girls that you'll be selling your bodies. Was that like the thinking back then, or?
Oh yes, because my mom didn't have a boy.
Yeah.
So she had 6 biological daughters, and when the wife before her left my dad, she left behind. She had 5 girls for my dad. She took 1 with her and left 4 behind. So my mom literally adopted them and then raised them. So she raised 10 girls.
Wow.
So people who didn't really know the family thought she was a mother of 10, and you wouldn't know the difference. We're like same age, following each other. So she had like 8 set of twins. Literally, actually 5 set of twins. We would dress the same way. Those of us who were close in age.
Yeah.
So because she didn't have a boy, my uncles and aunties felt all you have, and boys, in Africa and in Nigeria, boys are kind of like, the big deal. You have to have a boy. You have to, So they just felt we're all girls. There's nothing we would ever become.
That's a crazy.
That's a
conclusion
mad.
to
Like it's like, hey, all
But
girls,
it was a
hoes. Like it's
thing.
crazy.
It was a major thing at the time, and in some parts it's still the same.
Yeah.
Even
100,
till now,
100.
in some
Yeah.
parts it's still the same.
I see the effect. I don't want to talk too much, but like, there's people that I'm relatively close to, and I'm like, no, like, no. Well, let me land now.
Where you going
So,
with
but like you see the family, and like they're of a very particular tribe in Nigeria.
Whoa.
And right, and then no. So they've had like 4 children, and they're all girls, and they're still trying. And we all know.
Oh, I got
still
it.
trying. You know why I'm still trying? Do you know what I mean? Like
Trying to get that.
you're trying to get that one. You know?
So it's still there.
Yeah.
As you rightly
That
said,
is true.
until
Yeah.
now.
Do you like when you look at us, like our generation? Are you scared for us? Like
I'm
our
excited.
when we become parents and stuff.
Yes, I'm excited in many ways, and I'm also worried.
Yeah. What's your worry? Let us know your worry.
My worry is that my generation has failed to pass on the good things that we knew, and we were too sunk into, oh, I want my children to be better than me, which is a fantastic thing. But we're too plugged into that, and we forgot to actually teach this generation how to be resilient, how to build grit. This generation, then they don't have the resilience we had. One little thing,
All snowflakes, isn't it? Like,
it's all surface. There's a mental health challenge. For Christ's sake, back in Nigeria, what the heck is mental health challenge? Get up with the thing.
I'm trying to say this.
Mental what? If I slap you.
If I give you backhand, there we reset your brain with a silly slap.
Yeah,
Straight up.
I always
you
like
know?
when my mom talks about her. When my mom talks about my grandmother, her mom, that my grandmother lost 10 kids, and she had 12 in total. So my mom and her sister are the only 2 that survived, and she said that she was cold, and I was like, when she tells me about the story and how she would parent my mom, I was like, geez, that sounds horrific. But I was like that woman she couldn't go to no therapist. She couldn't go to anywhere to kind of like
Speak
so
about
guys,
her
I just lost,
problems.
she is like, you have to live, and
I
Nigeria,
hope we'll have this conversation in the interview because
we're on. We're in.
You're joking.
We're in. I'm going to introduce you in a second.
You have a separate interview.
But honestly, the reason I'm saying that is because some even kids your generation who are second generation migrants to Ireland, sometimes they don't get their parents, and they think, oh, my mom is so hard or my dad is so strict, and they have their reasons. They're afraid that what they experienced might happen. They don't want a reenactment of their lives, and so they are trying to protect their children so that their children have better lives. And that's why I said that even in trying to do so, sometimes they end up overprotecting. And then they miss the mark of literally saying, listen up, you can't be doing this because it's not right for you. Like, look, like I said, I have 4 kids. And I always tell my children, they would tell you in a heartbeat like that, once you remember that you're an Adenuga, there are values that guide us in this house.
That's class.
Our values in the house, we call it the creed L. Consistency. You have to be consistent. Find what you're good at and be consistent at it. Respect for yourself and for others. If you don't respect yourself, don't expect others to respect you. And at the same time, the power of that value of respect is that even if people disrespect you, your value does not allow you to disrespect them in return. Worst thing you do is walk away. But don't engage, don't get involved. Why? Because you're an Adenuga. Adenugas don't disrespect. That's the value. Integrity.
She's never been disrespectful. She's always disrespectful.
She dares not. Integrity, because I always say what I sell is my name.
Yeah.
And anything that has no integrity, I would go near it. And the family knows that's our value. Do unto others as you'll have them do unto you. What you don't want anybody to do to you, that's the D part of the creed L. Don't do to anyone. And then love. Love for yourself. If you don't love yourself, don't expect others to love you. Find your happy place within yourself. Find your comfort within yourself. And then love for God. We're Christians. I'm not ashamed to talk about it. I get trolled all the time when I talk about Christianity. They're like, don't you know God and politics don't go together? I'm sorry, but my fathers and their fathers and fathers before them were city pretty in Africa. And y'all brought your God, your Christianity, told them to drop their idols. And they did. They fell in love with this one God. And then started handing it down from generation to generation till it got got to me.
Yeah,
And then I fell in love with this same God, and I brought him in my suitcase back to Ireland, where it came from. And you're all telling me now not to talk about this God. Sorry, I'm the dividend of your investment in Africa. You will take me.
Damn, dividend of your investment. It's crazy,
You won't
dog.
get that in account,
It's
innit?
crazy, dog.
So
Yeah.
they understand who they are.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that needs to start to happen again, where we're beyond just the work and the making of the money. All that are outcomes of efforts,
Yeah.
you know? And yes, we tag them as rewards for our investment or hard work as well. But we also have to see the raising of our children and the success of those children and them making us proud. We have to see them as well as rewards, as dividend of our hard work in raising the next generation. We have to be proud of that.
Yeah.
And once you think of being proud of that, then you're working back to front, which is the way I work. Like, what do I want to see? I want to see children that are well-grounded. Look, they may not know where they're going yet, but they know where they shouldn't go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they avoid it.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
Like young
yeah,
people these days, you ask them, who do you want to become? And they're still thinking, and that's okay. When I was growing up, I didn't know who I was going to become. You have an advantage now where you have all these mentorship programs. You have all these things happening. I run mentorship. I've been mentoring for 26 years. I've mentored over 22,000 people. So I know the power of that. I see the change. My heart just jumps for joy when I see a mentee of mine sharing a success story as a result of something they've done with me.
Yeah.
But with that, even with that, then it's important that as parents, we become our own children's mentors. Whilst they will have mentors outside, we become the role models.
Okay, can I ask you something on that?
Yes.
With parents becoming mentors for their youths, for their kids, what's the balance with discipline and relationship?
Okay. So because you're a mentor doesn't mean you don't discipline.
Right.
Right. So you're first a parent. And as a parent, when you are a parent, you're not a child's friend. Please, let's get that clear.
That's true.
You know, I see people saying, oh, you know, I'm a child's best friend. No, you're not. You are a parent.
Yeah.
First,
You can become, my kids are now, my two daughters were very good friends now. They have their best friends, but we're really good friends and we're really close now.
Yeah.
Because I've gone past that stage of parenting them. Right?
Yeah.
I could not be their best friend when I was parenting them. Right?
Those
I
two
had to
things
be
can't
the
work.
parent.
Yeah.
And there's a responsibility that comes with parenting, which means I have a role to guide them. Yeah, I failed in certain places. They will make their own mistakes. And they did make their own mistakes. And they will fail in certain places because you fail to learn. And failures are not necessarily put downs. They are lessons in how not to do things the next time, right?
100,
But it's helping them know that and not feel downcast. So when I was their parent and I'm still parenting two boys who have 4 kids, I'm not their best friend. I don't want to be their best. I just want to guide them. We'll smile, we'll laugh. I love them. When they cry, I hug them. I let them know, which is very key. I let them know that I'm here. Myself and their dad. If anything ever happens, if you ever make a mistake, and anybody can make a mistake. So when parents say, I know my child 1,000%, please, kids will be kids. I was once a kid.
Some of
Sometimes,
these,
you know,
some of these parents haven't a clue who their kids
they
are.
have no idea what's going on in the minds of their children. So
What's going on? End off.
They don't know. So leave your mind open as and as a parent, but always let your kids know that no matter what you do, I am your first stop, and I'm that one call you must make because I will protect you. And then we'll go fight the foxes out there. But you come home first and you talk to me. I'll be your backbone. I'll fight for you.
Amazing.
Even if you were in the wrong. I can guarantee you, with that in the mind of the child, they will double think before they do something.
Yeah.
You know?
Ladies and gentlemen, that is just an intro. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Where's Your Head Up podcast. It's your boy KD.
King Grooves.
Wait, are you making new names up each week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's my name.
Bemiga.
Bemiga.
How can you be Bemiga?
Oluwagbemiga.
So you're now funkifying Bemiga.
And we have a special guest, as you guys been hearing. How long we've been in? We've been in for about 20 minutes, and she's been dropping some
Serious gems.
serious gems already. State your name, let people know who you are.
My name is Yemi Adenuga.
I loved her. She didn't say Yemi. She didn't say
Pronounce
Yemi.
everything so you don't get it wrong.
I know Yemi. Remi Vito. Yemi Adenuga.
Wait, what's that from? Is that a song or something?
Well,
Is that your song
that
or?
song?
that's my name song I made up. So you don't get it twisted.
I love it. So we've been in. Obviously, we've been talking a lot of stuff, and everyone's probably wondering, like,
We've been talking for at least maybe 40 minutes at this
yeah,
time.
already.
And I
we've been
didn't
talking to
know.
yeah, you didn't know. You had the clue. What is it that you do? So people just know, like, exactly what is the thing that you do? Like, this woman is just dropping so many gems. What is it that she does?
Oh my God. Okay. When do I start from? First, I'm a mom.
Yeah.
I feel really blessed to be a mother. I don't think it's a given for any woman. There are women who struggle to be mothers. So I feel really blessed to be a mother of 4, 2 girls and 2 boys. I shouldn't call them girls anymore. They're women now.
Women.
My boys are 14 and 15, and my women are 23 and 30.
Okay.
Right? I feel so proud and so blessed that I'm their parents. And I have 3 grandchildren.
Oh, wow.
So, and I have a son-in-law who has his head so well screwed in. Wow. And he's an incredible blessing to my family. And I'm a wife as well. I'm married to one of the best men in the world.
I
love that.
My wife better. She better. Like, she's better.
She has no choice.
We've been married now. December this year would be 31 years.
Congrats. That's big.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So
I'm
yes.
because we're gonna ask you keys to, like, you know, some people are engaged and stuff like that. So
Success.
we're gonna have to ask some keys. The keys to successful marriage.
Kingdom marriage.
we get there.
Yeah,
but I'm a child of God. I love my relationship with God. I'm grateful to been able to build a relationship with God, and I'm super proud of that, and I'm never ashamed to talk about that.
Yeah, it's good.
Because it's the essence of who I've become. And then I'm also a people builder. I build people.
Yeah.
So sometimes people say,
like
is that like
that.
construction? I'm like, actually, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like putting the blocks one step at a time, and then you're cementing and solidifying. And my whole essence, my entire life, everything, the full summation of what I do in my life is people building. And it comes from my background, my story, my backstory. And it's just a commitment and the promise that I made to myself when I was a young girl. So I build people. I do that through training.
Yeah.
I'm a people development strategist. I train. I'm a keynote speaker. I speak internationally. I train corporate organizations, train individuals, train groups. I'm director of programs for a training institute called MIB Institute of People Development.
Wow.
We design bespoke training for companies, for groups, corporate organizations, whatever it is that they're looking for. Our job as MIB Institute is to come and put the fire in the behind of your workers, just make them better people. Happy people make better workers, and then they're more productive. We don't teach them how to do their work. We just teach them how to be better people so they can do their work better.
Better.
Yes. And then I'm also a social entrepreneur.
The CV is long.
It's long.
CV is long. Yeah.
It's long.
That's amazing.
Social entrepreneur. I run a social enterprise called Sheroes Global, like Heroes, but the female version is Sheroes.
Wow.
And we inspire, empower, and impact women and young people to be more, and we celebrate them when they dare to be more. We have several projects within that. And one of the projects that's really dear to my heart is the Sheroes Boys to Men project, where we're raising a generation of good men. And we're catching them young from the beginning.
needed.
Non-waiting.
Bro.
Waiting. And we're asking men like yourselves, young men like yourselves, who've been through the motions, to become role models and mentors for boys and community. And we have the Girls Club, we have the Women's Network, we have our annual conference and awards, and we have a new network within Sheroes that we've just set up, actually, to be launching on the 28th of October.
Okay.
It's the Black Irish Sisters Network,
Wow.
Peace Network, because we looked around. Some of the ladies, I always host ladies in my house, and the Black ladies have, in recent times, just been talking repeatedly about the fact that there's no unifying support system for Black women.
Okay.
We have clusters of groupings in different places.
Yeah.
And they deliver for their areas, but there's nothing that really brings Black women together. So through that, then I shared my vision with them a couple of years ago about, this thing I saw in my head of 12 women just walking into a room filled with 5,000 people.
Yeah.
And the room was on fire and they were waiting on these 12 women to just come in and they were all dressed in black, in suits, and they looked so dapper. And the room was electrified. And they're like, this is your vision coming to life. So we're soft launching on the 28th of October, the Black Irish Sisters Network. And then we're looking to have a massive convention next year where we literally talk about our issues and how we're going to, address them. Anyway, and then I'm a politician.
And then. Okay.
So I'm an elected public rep, a councillor. I ran in the local elections in 2019. Thankfully won a seat, and there were 16 candidates, I think, running for 7 seats. And I was blessed to have won one of those 7 seats to become the first Black woman to ever be elected in the history of Irish politics.
Nah, we gotta get that.
History.
That's history. Yeah.
So I'll stop at that.
Wait. Stop. What's your CV, bro?
I was just gonna say that to you.
I love Jesus.
I'm a child of God. Okay. So since we've been talking, your tenacity is very obvious. It's like at the forefront of your character and who you are. Like, why did you? I'm not gonna say the way I want to say it, but like, why did you decide to go into politics? Because I'm sure you are very well aware that if you were to go into this, you would be the first Black woman. What was the driving force behind that for you?
First of all, I did not know that I will be the first Black woman.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, on the day the results were announced, it was a reporter who had walked up to me when he was interviewing me. So he'd done the interview and then he said, well, congratulations. You do know that you're the first Black woman. I'm like, you better be checking your facts right. I'm sure there's been somebody before. And it was like, no, tell me who. And it hit me like a bolt. Like, actually, this is what's just happened. I never thought about it. I didn't know what the implications were going to be or what the outcome would be. But why did I step into politics? Previously, I probably would not have thought about politics. Maybe I would have, because my husband had been in my ears for years, saying, look, you're doing so much in the community. You've always said you needed a bigger platform. What better platform than politics? And I'm like, politics? No. Because I always saw politics from the eye of politics in Nigeria and how very dirty and very mean and demeaning it was, and how politicians were disrespected so much because of their ways. And I never wanted to go down that line. I built a reputation for myself. I didn't want it to be tarnished by politics.
That makes sense.
I have so much respect from the community. I wanted to be able to maintain that because a lot of young girls and plenty of women saw me as a role model, and I didn't want politics to tarnish that. So first reason I stepped in was Fine Gael asked me, the party, to run to represent them. My initial response was, thank you very much, no thanks. But I had a really long and interesting conversation with the then secretary of the party. He's now retired. And he'd, explained to me why they felt that I was the perfect candidate to represent the party in Navan. And I just said to him, look, but the thing is, I don't really know much about politics, never mind Irish politics. And he said, but you know people. And I'm like, It's like, you know people so well, Yemi. And that's, I heard you say this before, that politics is about people. And you're so right. So what better person?
So like you had the foundations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I went back and thought about it, and I thought, look, I've always been saying to people, don't sit on the fence. If you're not part of the solution, you are the problem, not just part of the problem. So I thought, look, I'll dip my feet in the waters and see how it goes, and just give it my go. Wow. And I did, and we stepped in. I said yes towards the tail end of canvassing, and it was so scary, so scary. Elections.
When was this?
So the elections were in 2019. The party had asked me in 2018.
Okay.
I said yes eventually towards the end of 2018. The conventions were in the selection convention for Navan was in January 2019.
Wow.
And the elections were in May. So the selection convention, I think, was on the 27th or so of January.
So you had
it
a very
was so
short...
tight.
Yeah, so tight.
And I didn't get my first leaflet, I think, until March. So I had March, April, May, like the good part of 3 months or thereabout to canvas heavily, even though we'd been kind of like going to the doors, and I was getting the feel of what it felt like. But it was a tough one. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to bring every experience that I think I've ever had in my life. I put my hat on as a strategist, and I always I remembered, look, I teach people in corporate organizations, no matter what you're trying to do, the bottom line is that you're trying to sell something.
Yeah.
You're trying to sell something, whether it's a service, whether it's a product. So I was trying to sell Yemi. And so it was a question of, how do I sell this woman to people at the doors?
That makes sense.
So that became it was like the main factor for our canvassing. Just bring Yemi to the doors. And I remember the very first day we went canvassing at the doors, I remember, and I have to really, be thankful to Finnegan because they did really fantastic training for us. With the training, though, when you get to the doors, the experience is different from what you hear in the class.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's not different for some people, but it was different for me, not just because I was a woman, or I am a woman, also because I'm a Black woman.
It's a different
4
experience.
strikes against you. A woman, 1. Strike 2, a Black woman.
Black, for
Strike
that
3,
matter.
a Black woman with an accent.
Yeah.
Strike 4, a Black woman with an accent with a big mouth who knows how to use it. So
on.
I was like, where's the winning here? So the first day I went to the doors, I did the spiel. We were trained, you stand a certain way, you speak a certain way, you carry yourself a certain way. And I did. And I gave my leaflet to this man at the door, and I was hoping he'll take it. And he said, "Are you done?" I'm like, yeah. He said, "No, but no thanks." And he shut the door.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And I stepped aside a little. And I'm so grateful my husband was there that day. He put his hand on my kind of like my arm.
Yeah.
And I said, "Sorry, not now." Because I knew I was going to cry.
Yeah.
So he's like the best man in the world. He knows me well. So he kind of took his hand off, and I took a moment and took a deep breath. And right there and then at that man's doorstep, I decided, do you know what? I'm bringing Yemi to the door. It's one of two things. You either like her or you don't. And from then on, next door, I brought myself. Spoke in my own way. Brought my own style. Did everything my way. And I guess Navan felt they liked Yemi. So authenticity is really key. Otherwise, you can't be consistent. So I said yes. I was asked yes. That was a reason, but it wasn't for me. It wasn't a good enough reason. I had to find my own why, and my why is because I see politics as a bigger platform to do more of what I was already doing, bringing a difference to my town of London, and I wanted to do more of that.
Yeah.
You said you made a promise to yourself when you were young.
Yes.
What was that promise? Or is it something that's public, or is it like, is it? Or is it?
Yes, it is. I mean, like I think I've told the story a million times. It all stems back to my background. I grew up in a really large family. My father had 7 wives and 27 children, and I am number 16 in the lineup of children. And my mother was the last wife of 7, and she had only 6 girls. And then she adopted 4 other girls who were daughters of my stepmom, the wife before my mom when she left my dad. And my father, being the head of the clan, would have hosted the family meetings at those times. So one of those meetings then, my uncles and aunties came up to my mom and like, "Oh, you this woman, you only have girls, no boy. All these girls of yours, they're going to end up on the streets of Lagos," which was the capital of Nigeria at the time, selling their bodies as prostitutes. Crazy. And I would have thought that my auntie, who is a woman, would have kind of like shut them up and supported my mom. But she was adding petrol to fire and saying, they will say to men, "Come and buy me, come and pay for me." And my mom was heartbroken, as you expect. And I was only 13 years old.
Wow.
And I was just in the corner by the room, and I heard those words, and I cried. And about 3 a.m., I think I got up, I was going to the loo, my mom was still crying. She would remember, and she would cry. And I went to her like, "Why are you still crying?" And she said, "You didn't hear what your father's family said." And I said, "Actually, I did." And that day, the first promise was one I made to my mom. I was just a 13-year-old girl who wanted to stop my mom from crying. And I said to her, "Mom, I promise you that I'm going to work so hard. Myself and my sisters are going to work so hard and make you so proud that those uncles and aunties will wish their boys were girls. We're going to make you so proud that those sons of theirs would wish they were your daughters."
Damn, boy.
And so for me,
Damn,
that has been the foundation of everything I've done in my life, to make my mother proud.
Yeah.
that having a
She's
girl was not
definitely
a problem.
proud.
So that was the first promise.
Okay.
And then the second promise was one I made to myself.
Yeah.
That because that had happened, and I was so angry that who died and made those people king? Who made those uncles king? Who gave them the power to speak those kind of
Those
nonsense
uncles,
prophecy
yeah,
into our
crazy,
lives,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so I promised myself that as I grew older and as I learned in life, everything I learned, I will pass on to women and young girls.
Yeah.
Just to empower them. And for me, then it became a motivation to succeed, that I have to succeed. If I'm going to empower anybody with anything, I have to have something to give them.
Yeah.
So I have to succeed.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. I was watching me and my brother talk a lot about like kind of like our pain points, like what drives us, like because people ask very successful people like what was the thing that drove you to kind of that thing, and they all talk about pain points. They all talk about somewhere in their childhood, somewhere in some point of their life where there's something that just said
There's a
that made them
backstory.
just like firing up behind, just kind of made them just go, hey, listen, we're just gonna go for it now. I'm gonna make sure that nobody doesn't have everybody has sandals now. Do you know what I mean? Like, because I never had sandals. There's always some sort of pain point that they have, and it's very interesting that like you have that as well, like that kind of like thing that motivates you to kind of go and do what you're doing and impact people. Does everyone need that? Does everyone need that kind of thing? There's people who maybe, like, I'm not saying that people don't have pain points in their life. Everyone has a pain point in their life, but maybe maybe they haven't discovered it. Maybe it's just something that wasn't as deep for them to kind of like want to go and change the world with. Does anyone that goes to change the world, to make impact in communities or do something at a very high scale, do they need a pain point? Do they need that sort of
They may not
motivation?
necessarily need or have a pain point, but they must have a why.
Why?
There must be a why. It's my best word in the world, WHY.
Yeah.
Because you find that when you ask the question why, you get an answer, and you drill even deeper, you get even deeper answers.
Yeah.
There's a reason for why are we sitting in this room? Why are we doing this podcast? Why did I say yes? Why did I get up from my house and leave church and dress up and come here? There's a reason.
Yeah.
And so if you're not clear what the reason is, you're just going to jump in and you could drown, or you could be pulled into something that has nothing to do with your trajectory in life, right? So you're working a journey, right? And you want to make sure that as you meander around, you get lost, but you don't want to drown anyway. You're in deep waters that sometimes are filled with sharks and, all kinds and manners of things that would eat you up. But if you know your why, it's a propeller. So while some people may not necessarily have really solid, strong, painful pain points, right? Yeah. They can just decide, look, I was on a trip and I saw this and it just hit me. I didn't like it. I want to change it. That's a reason.
That's a why.
It's not their pain. It's someone else's pain.
Yeah, it's just why.
But it is a reason.
Yeah.
And so that reason keeps them focused on what the goal is.
Through your mentorship and everything that you've been doing over the last like 26 to 30 years, have you found that a lot of people don't have a why?
A lot of people don't even have a focus.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't have values. They haven't said anything. They don't have a self-definition of who they are. Never mind why. So every time, over the years, right, this is the interesting thing. When I first started mentoring, I didn't even know that what I was doing was mentoring. People would come to me. I was hosting a television program, a talk show called Sharing with Yemi. And at the time, it was Nigeria's #1 talk show on AIT, African Independent Television.
African Independent Television.
Yes, I'm a pioneer of that. Right? Interestingly, I produced the first program ever to be aired on that station. And then Ray Power and Ray Power started. I was the first female voice on Ray Power when it went live, and we got our license.
Crazy.
So, but back to the story. So, schools will come. Because of the program, we talked about societal issues, and they would come and they would say, would you come and speak to our girls? So you could have like 700 girls in a room, and I would come and like, would you look after them? And I would kind of like mentor them for maybe over 2 months or 3 months.
It's back in Nigeria, is it?
Back in Nigeria, years and years and years ago. I'm talking about 90s. And so we'll set programs for them and say, okay, I'm coming to check you. You better be doing your exam. I'm coming to see if you did what I told you to do. And I didn't realize that I was mentoring those girls. And, from 700, you would have like 1,000 girls and you'd have like 1,005 girls. And it just kept growing. And then the parents would ask me, oh, you did this for my daughter. Would you work this with me as well? And so it went from just the girls to women. And that's how the mentorship grew. And I realized over time that when I was traveling to countries, more and more people were asking me, would you mentor us? Would you do this for us? And then as my workload became heavier, it wasn't practical to just keep mentoring them like that. So as years went by, I designed the Yemi Adenuga Mentorship and Leadership Programs, the YAML program. Yeah. And then started having people in different cohorts. So you find people who are members of cohort 1. They'll say, oh, yes, we're in cohort 1. And now we have our online cohort, which was right after COVID. Yeah, who would ever think you'll say, thank God for COVID? But, but COVID helped us pivot even the mentorship program where it became online. And my mentees who have mentored for years and years and years, and, some of them had never even gotten a chance to see them again because I hadn't gone back to their country. They could come online. So we could all see each other and they all built a thing. So the mentorship then became one where it's designed that the minute you get on, no matter which of the programs you're doing, whether it's the political leadership training program, whether it's the emerging leaders training program, whether it's the lifelong learning program, which is like a 1-year program, which we've kind of like streamlined into a 6-month program, whether it's the Women in Leadership program. So these are the programs that are under the mentorship program. Any one of them that you're doing, the first thing you've got to do, you have to do the self-discovery model. So this is where you have to be clear, who am I? Yeah. What am I about? Yeah. You define yourself. Yeah. And if you don't, people will define you. And you won't know then. If you don't like it, it's like, look, your life is a movie. Our lives are movies. We're the lead character in the movie. And somebody's writing the script. We don't like the character, but we're acting it out anyway. Yeah. And they keep writing new series. They write new lines into the series and it just progresses. And we keep acting it. Why? Because we feel like we're celebrities in the movie. But we don't like what we're seeing, but we keep acting because we're getting paid. Right? For sure. So we need to take the pen back and or take charge and who is the producer of this movie? Hang on, I'm the executive producer. This is what I want to see. But you've got to take the pen back. Yeah. So that's part of what we do. The first part of whatever that the mentorship program, your course you're doing, you do the first module, which is self-definition.
Or you even get to the why.
And then part of that is
why.
We have the second module then, which looks at you looking at why you're doing whatever it is that you're doing. Yeah. We set a goal. Within that, we set SMART goals. And then why are you doing that goal? And why are you who you say you are? And, what's the essence of you when you're defining? You can always redefine you. Yeah. Your definition is not cast in stone. I'm a married woman now. I'm a mom. I'm a grandma. A few years ago, my definition then is completely different from what my definition is now. Mm-hmm. So we evolve as people. Yes. Yeah. But your definition has to just get better, not worse. Yeah. So yes, within the program, we help people find the why. We help them find themselves. And then we help them set goals. So for me, within the mentorship, it's important that you're not just coming for me to pour out to you. Because one of my goals in life is, I am an encounter. If people allow themselves to encounter me, they must leave me feeling better than when they met me. So yes, they will encounter me, right? They encounter you as well. But beyond that, when you know who you are, what impact are you going to make? So people know that you are who you say you are. And so within the program, they set goals. Amazing. And then they walk the goals, achieve either part of it, if it's a long-term goal, but they start on a path to achieving the set goal. It could be work goal, could be family goal, it could be anything. Yeah.
I have a question. It's actually, I think, so looking at kind of your life and how you've been speaking about the things that you've been involved in, it makes sense to me why you have become a politician right now. So in hindsight, because it almost sounds like your trajectory was going towards there anyway, but of course you didn't see it at the time because of kind of your environment, your immediate environment. In hindsight, are you it makes sense that I'm here now? Is that something you think about?
Yes, I have. You're 1,000% right. Yeah. Yes, I have thought about it a few times. And like I said, most of the things I do in my life, I made a promise to myself to pass it on. Yeah. Once I have a new learning, I pass it on. And, what you've just said there is a reminder of one of the things that I pass on in recent times, that everything in life is an opportunity. Everything. Like we're sitting here, this is an opportunity, right? To do this, to get to know each other better, to have this kind of conversations and maybe pass on messages to people. So I teach my students 4 key things about opportunities, right? I think I might have shared this.
You shared it.
And I'm really passionate
stuck with
about
me.
it because we don't see it. And I didn't learn this from a textbook. I learned it from experience. The first thing is we have to realize that opportunities are right in front of us every single day. When I was growing up in Nigeria, where I come from originally, we were told that opportunities come but once. And if you miss it, that's it. Your life is over. That's a lie from the pit of hell. Opportunities are there in front of us every single day, right? So first thing is you have to recognize that. Second thing is you have to take it. It's not enough to see an opportunity. If you don't take it, it means nothing. And then the third thing is you have to use it well. Because if you don't use it well, you're literally pulling the ladder from under the people who are coming behind you and saying, look, I'm the only person who deserves this. So be gone. And that's not a way to live.
Very important.
You can't leave an impact. You have to make sure that other people get to climb that ladder. If it's something is broken, fix it. Make sure that it can come up.
I think sorry to cut you off. I don't mean to.
No, you're grand.
But I think point number 3 is very, very it's really important, especially for our community, should I say. There's a lot of like people like I would say black and Nigerians, because that's my main experience, whereby like, oh, I found an opportunity, but this for me, I'm not going to talk about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
It's like,
because we don't yet understand the power of a collective. We don't. We don't. And it pains me.
The Asians, the Chinese have got it,
Oh
right?
my God.
Oh, they have down.
Like they do that in their sleep.
That's their oxygen.
You know? But you have to give it to them because they were raised to do things that way. We weren't raised to do things that way. We were raised being told, oh, you know, be careful of your sister. Even your sister. Your
That's
sister
crazy,
is your
you know?
biggest enemy.
I think especially in a polygamous house as well, because my mom came from there, and it's that thing of like every mother for her and her kids.
Everyone's against you.
And like you're literally hearing people, like you're hearing this other mother trying to sabotage the kid of this other woman. You know what I mean? And like that creates a society of like, it's for also like everything out there. It's not my business.
It's a siege mentality.
Exactly. As long as everyone that's within my kind of in my environment is safe, that's all I care about. You know?
Exactly. And that's it. It's our foundation. It's the way we were raised and the way it was handed down. Because everyone is always, you know, trying to sabotage. That's the word. Sabotage someone else's effort. But we've got to go past that because we now have a generation of young people, especially for those of us who are in Ireland, who have opportunities that we never had. And we've got to teach them differently and enable them differently and tell them that opportunities are not just for you, they're for other people. And when you get an opportunity, you've got to open the door. Why? Because it is very lonely at the top. Very lonely at the top. I tell you honestly, I'll give you an example. When I became a politician, right, I looked around me. I was the only black person. People, it was exciting for people. But in some levels, it wasn't for me. I didn't like the feeling. I wanted more people. So the first thing I did was, straight up, I said to my colleagues at MIB, we've got to design a political leadership training program for migrants. And we did. We had 21 people. We had a lot of people apply, but we selected 20. And it was for women and it was for people from diverse backgrounds. And there was this one guy who just bashed his way in, like kept emailing, like, you can't leave me out, I want to join him. We let him in, so we had 21 people. And I just wanted to be able to use my platform to create an opportunity for others to start getting interested. And I'm so proud to say that of the 21 who did that program, 10 are now registered with political parties. And 8 have been selected to run in the next local elections.
That's crazy.
And brilliant. Now I have another mentorship program which has about 10 people who are from the black community who are interested, and some have been selected. That's how you enable more opportunities, not to keep it to yourself, because I mean, it doesn't profit you nothing, you know.
So you look better, like you look way better.
And to be honest, and there's a weird thing about it in the sense of like you actually live longer because of it.
Very true.
You know what I mean? It's like, you know,
What
20
you've
years
done,
down the
yeah,
line,
yeah.
someone's going to be like, it's because of Yemi that I'm here. It's
Legacy.
because of Yemi that
Legacy,
I've been able to do this, or, you know, the trajectory of my life has changed because of my encounter with Yemi. So it's amazing.
Thank you.
So
And
fourth
the
thing.
fourth thing.
Yes.
you were listening.
Yes, I was.
So the fourth thing is to pass it on, which is what I've been saying. Like, don't
brilliant.
keep it to yourself.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pass it on. That's exactly how you leave a legacy.
Yeah.
Because you can buy a house, it can crumble in a day, it can depreciate in value, market value. You can buy a car, you have an accident, that's it, it's gone, the value's gone. But it's what you impact in people's lives that lives on and keeps your name in the lips of people for forever.
For forever, yeah.
You know.
Interesting thing. So obviously talking about the environments that we come from where you keep opportunity to yourself. What was the process of like unlearning that and then kind of adopting this new kind of thought process, if you know what I mean?
I do. I actually do. For me, I think it goes back to my why.
Okay.
It was an intentional, deliberate, conscious decision. So as a typical young girl who grew up in Nigeria, my immediate maybe thing to do would have been, please, I have this opportunity. I don't want anybody to kind of like ruin it for me. I don't want wahala and all that.
Yeah.
But because I'd intentionally made myself a promise as a young girl and I was intent on keeping that promise to myself, not to anybody else, I had to change my thinking of how to make it happen. So I knew it had to happen, but how will it happen? The only way to make it happen is to make sure that I'm passing it on, right? And I said to you earlier, and I'm the kind of person that I think from back to front. I paint a picture. I see in pictures. I see visions. Not that I'm a prophet or anything, but I think in visions, right? And I see a future that I would love to happen, but it's not going to happen by itself. I have to make it happen. So then I walk towards making that happen. And the only way it can happen is to make sure that as people come to me and ask for help or tell me, oh, we love what you're doing, or we see you as a role model, or we see you as a mentor, would you please mentor me? I can't say no. I have to say yes. And I have to mentor them in a way that is profitable to them. Not what I think they need, but also be sure that within what I think they need, I also add what I believe they should have as a base to enabling what they need.
So
yes, I
basically
have to consciously
building
do it.
foundations for them or in them.
Exactly.
Because you mentioned a lot of stuff about mentorship, and I think about my generation, my guys, and like, what's the thing that we need? Would you say that the main thing that we need would be our like identity? Like, would you say, like, I know you've mentioned, know who you are, like, for the young black woman, for the young black man, is that the main thing that they need to know?
It's not necessarily the main thing, but it's a major thing. It's one of the major things. One of the major things.
What would be like if you had to choose one thing that a black young man needs to know or needs to develop or needs to be mentored on, or young black women, what would be those things? Even if they're different, that's cool.
Yeah, so it will be, of course, identity will definitely be one of them. I believe that as Black Irish, if I asked you, what does Black Irishness mean to you? What does that mean? Right? So tell me, what does it mean?
For me, I think it means I don't even know. It's like it's still undefined yet.
Tell me what does it mean?
I
For
think
you as a young Black Irish man, what does it mean for you?
I'd say if anything, it's two main things that come to mind: versatility. I have this background, this rich culture that I'm coming from, where like my parents are from and stuff, and then I also have this kind of new thing that's also new to me. Kind of building those two together, and then also there's a sense of freedom that's attached to it, whereby I can then reinvent myself. I can be whoever I want to be.
Give the man a prize. It's like you're in my brain, right? So I've thought about this a million times, just watching my children grow, and out of concern for when they walk the streets of Ireland, who are they going to feel like? When you come originally from a place, you have a sense of, this is my base. They say, who's your father? You tell your father. Or who's your grandpa? You know who your grandpa is. Where's your grandpa from? You tell. Where's your grand? There's kind of like a process within your definition.
Yeah.
But this new identity, what is it really? So the first thing is, there's a huge advantage. Whilst some might see it as a disadvantage, oh, we're lost, we don't know who we are, this confusion.com. Actually, no, I see the opposite. I see a huge advantage where if you closed your eyes now and you heard a Black American speaking,
you know,
you can tell.
100%.
You know he's an American.
Yeah.
But you know he's not a white American. He's a Black
100%.
American white through the accent. The same with a Black British person. You can tell through the accent.
You can tell the Nigerian.
What does Black Irishness sound like? We don't know yet. Like you have a mixed grill, a potpourri of different sounds coming out, and I think it's beautiful and it's organic and it's authentic and it's building, right? So that's one thing. The other thing then is we can learn from those countries. We can learn from America. We can learn from the UK. What have they done right and what did they do wrong that we ensure that we don't do? And then we can from that decide. Hang on a minute.
This is
who we want to be. It doesn't matter whether you're from Kenya or you're from Cameroon or you're from Nigeria or Ghana. It does not matter. The fact is you are Black, Irish, right? And this is who I want to be. And we can, our young people have an opportunity to define that, but it's not going to happen by itself. Because today when you ask the Black British person, what's that for you? They have no clue. The only thing that really defines a Black British person is the accent. End off. I mean, like, tell me, what else? What else? Right? So it's different
jerk
things.
Chicken or something.
Jerk chicken. Then you're thinking Jamaica, the Black American. What defines them really? So really and truly, we have that opportunity to define that identity. Yeah. And it should not be allowed to just, die off like that.
I think art plays a very big part.
Absolutely.
In definition. I think when you speak about like America, for example, I think what helps us define the Black American is the hip hop, and then even then there's intersectionalities within that.
Fashion.
There's the Atlanta guys, there's the New York guys, and I think the same goes for the UK as well, whereby you have drill didn't start there, but you have garage, you have grime, exactly, which helps. I think that's actually really I'm really excited. I think it's really
this is the kind of conversation we should be having to help that identity come to life.
No, because it's true.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because so we're speaking about things from like a societal and with a political view.
Yes.
But then you can also see where the link is to art and how that helps in the definition of kind of the personality. And I think, in accordance to our conversation, if you look at kind of where the Irish scene is right now, where we have more artists than we've ever had, we have more people doing so many creative things than we've ever had. It's like we're in the process of that definition of what the Black and the Irish is.
Do you think there's obviously there's not a clear picture yet, but can you like piece it together yet?
It's getting clearer.
I don't think there's a clear.
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't think it is there.
I can't even like take this and say this is it. Like,
do you know the only thing?
There's not a clear.
Yeah,
I know what
you mean. I think the only thing I would say would be clear to me in my head is actually our accent. Now our accent is quite
unique.
You have Goody. I don't know if you heard the Goody like Dongo. Yeah. He's like, what's that start? Like he's probably like from Tala, and then you have like someone like you have the people who sound like. I could tell. I mean, maybe because I've lived in Ireland for best part of 2 decades. Like I literally, I hear, the Black Irish all the time, right? And I could tell, I would actually be able to tell from our accent, like
a Black and Irish person.
Like,
I think I would as well.
Like, I think a lot of people, even UK people, can tell that that's a Black Irish person.
Yeah, especially I think it's because
the Irish twang is
the twang.
It's a twang.
In there.
But there's the Nigerian there, or there's the African, like as in there's this African like twang to our Irish. But we like if I'm speaking to like Paddy, sister, we can definitely get to his level. But even at that level, you still know that I'm Black.
Therein lies the essence of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That we need to have conversations around what that sounds like and if we actually like what it sounds like. Yeah. And then we can start to project that. But if we don't, you'll hear other... Do you what?
Do we like it?
That's the question.
Like what,
and that's the conversations that we should have. So it helps us then define exactly. And we're only talking one thing. We're only talking accent. Within that, there is fashion, there's food, there's arts, there's different things, wrapped into this one identity that we're trying to create.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
I don't think we will like it. And I'll tell you why. I think because I was listening to Kano he was on a podcast anyway, and he was talking about when so at the beginning of garage and grime, there was a lot of resistance to the British accent on music.
Yes.
Yeah.
There was a lot of resistance. They're like,
Because them I used to rap in an American
exactly.
accent.
It's like, but then there was a lot of resistance as we were saying, but then it continued on. And I think it comes from bravery. There's a lot of artists that said, "Nah, I am from South London. This is what I sound like, and I will sound like this on my song." Do you get me? And that bravery allowed other people to be like, you know what, I actually do like what that sounds like. And I think looking back to Officer's the 2 singles he released, he's speaking about things that we know about. That happen
even
here.
Plantain Papi saying, "I was outside Vela."
Yeah, exactly.
That's like,
so
yeah,
you're speaking about.
You know about Vela, man?
No, tell me.
Vela, you don't want to know.
Lost in
Is it
translation.
for UFC, for everything, man? It's crazy.
Yeah, but like those people, for example, when we're listening to Officer's song, we were hearing about the Black and Irish Awards. We're like, oh yeah, I was there. I know what you're talking about, or I know about this. He made a reference to something that happened on social. It's like, oh, I was also there, and his accent was what it was. I was like, do you get me? I think it's in these moments where things are defined. There will be a lot of resistance,
and it will take a little. Do you know what? It will take some. I think we have leverage from, as you were saying, like look at the US, look at the UK, like and decide who you want to be, and then run with it. You know, as you said, like there is going to be. Are we going to be happy with it? Are we going to be like okay with it? That's as Tommy was saying. But I think the one, and that's why I've always said it. You know, like when it comes to conversations that we get to have on a podcast where there's no pressure for us to sound a certain way or to look a certain way. This is I would say this is the rawest form of Black and Irish, like in our conversation, because here's where we we don't have to pretend to be someone else.
Yes.
In fashion, I don't think we have our identity yet. We like, who could we say we dress like every other person we see on TV or online. Who do we sound like? We sound like, you know, we're trying to sound like ourselves, but we still sound like there's no such thing as Irish. You know, if it's
Black
Irish
accent,
or Black Irish, like even our music is no like it's
no Black
Irish
Irish
drill,
sound of
Irish
Black
grind,
Irishness,
Irish hip hop.
exactly.
You know, there's no Irish thing itself.
Yeah.
So I think in terms of conversation, it's very unless you're that talented to be, you know, acting on conversation. You know, this is kind of us showing Black Irish life. This is us showing, you know, Black Irish mindset. This is us talking about, you know, it at the kind of rawest type of form. I think this is where things could excel. You know,
absolutely,
you know,
and things will at some stage have to move from conversation
100%
to actual reality and achievements. And I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
I work with a lot of young people in universities, and some of them are, you know, Black Irish young people. And the one thing that I hear all the time, said in different ways, is that struggle with identity.
Yeah.
You know, there's that confusion. You know, can I be Nigerian, or can I be Kenyan, or can I be South African, and at the same time still be Irish? Yeah. And I'm like, absolutely. Because you can't let anyone take away the benefit of this dual nationality from you. Yeah. It's not a disadvantage. It's one of the best advantages you can have. Yes. You have the best of both worlds. Yeah. And you can bring that. Some people hold just the one pass, but some one end, and then the other people one on the other end. But you have both. And then you have the advantage to bring the benefit of the two cultures that you are from now and do a blend of something that never existed before. And to say, here is who I am.
Blank
Sorry,
canvas.
I'm very apologetic about that. Yeah, and I love what I hear. I love how I dress. I love what I sound like. I love the kind of food I want to eat. And well, if you don't like it, it's not for you. End of story. So it's progressing the conversation from just the talk, but it has to be had, so people can think and they can hear other people say what they're feeling, so they know they're not alone in that boat of, I'm not sure what my identity is. It gives them some form of comfort, like, okay, I'm not alone. Yeah. And then it moves on to, actually, I think I like what I'm feeling now, what I'm doing, like, oh, I'm feeling that too. I'm doing that too. Oh, okay, so this is who we are. That's great then, you know? And it's, before you know it, it's building. Like, we're feeling the same thing. We're doing the same thing. Oh, that's great. That's fine. It may not be exactly the same way, but we're going somewhere together because we hear each other sharing our experiences and our pains and our, you know, our progress.
I wanted to ask, was there any obstacles you faced? Like, you talk about having dual citizenship. Like, when you're in a white dominated place, did you feel like, oh, you're black?
I don't need to be made to feel that I'm black. I am black.
Yeah.
And look, when I first came to Ireland, if I entered a room, most times I was the only black person in the room because I was always that person who would raise my hand and say yes to everything. I'll go to every training, go to every meeting. I wanted to just be there and see what was happening because I decided this was going to be home. And those times I would excuse when people would say they didn't see me, right? Oh, you were there, I didn't see you.
What?
But today,
How's a big
you
lie?
dare not say you didn't see me because I'm the only black person in the room. If you didn't see me, you need to go to Specsavers.
Yeah.
So our disadvantage has become our advantage.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we shouldn't be the only black people walking into a room. There should be several other
Should
people.
be several. Yeah.
Because now we know better that opportunities are there for us for the taking. But in terms of being made to feel like, oh, you are different and you're not like us, I'm made to feel that on a regular basis, you know, through conversations, through insinuations that people make, through people imply things without saying it directly, and it's not lost on me, and I'm very clear, and I take no captives. You say it, I give you your answer straight back. I'm in this room. I'm well deserving of being in this room. You don't tell me I don't deserve to be in this room because I'm black. Right, so let's talk about that if that's an elephant in the room. Clear that straight away. So I take no captives because I never ask for favors, or I hardly ask for favors.
Yeah.
And so when I'm doing something, I'm getting involved in something, I know I've earned to be there.
Yes.
So when people, and it will happen, it will continue to happen. One thing you have to know is that you have no control over how people respond to you or react to something you do. You don't have control over that.
Yes.
You don't have control over whether people decide to be racist or not.
Yeah.
You have no control over that. What you have control over is how you respond.
How you respond to it, yeah.
And your response is very important to either educating or actually missing an opportunity to educate.
Yeah.
So we have to be very conscious of that. That our
very
response is
important.
very key. We can be angry inside, but we have to control that anger. And I'll give you a very practical example. When I was canvassing at the doors in 2019, I remember going to the shopping mall and I met this man. I was with a few people and I met this man who asked me, oh, I see you're running in the local, are you Yemi? I'm like, yes. Oh, I see you're running in the local elections. Like, yeah, okay. And then he'd asked me a few things and I was very patient and, kept telling myself, if the things he was asking, they were rude.
Yeah.
And they were very condescending.
Yeah.
They were gearing towards, oh, you're a woman, you must be stupid. But I had to control myself and just answer. I kept thinking, okay. But I answered politely. And then the question, which was like the icing on the cake, he said, and you think you're intelligent enough to run?
Jesus.
And that wasn't just because I was a woman. From the context of the conversation, it was because I was a black woman.
Yeah.
And look, honestly, I thank God for values because that day my immediate response would have been to wrap him up in a ball and throw him against the wall. But my value of respect wouldn't let me. So I stood there, took a deep breath. When I'm upset, I put water in my mouth. But that day I didn't have the bottle of water, it was in the car. You can't speak with water in your mouth. And then it gives you a second to process before you open your mouth. I'm very conscious when I'm saying things, especially when I'm upset. So because I didn't have the bottle, I took a moment and I took a deep breath. And like, what do I say to this man? Do I speak my mind and rock the boat? Or do I be a good girl and just follow my values? And I decided, look, your values are key to you. You can't fall now and fail yourself. So my response to him was, do you know what? We'll wait till the 26th of May.
Yes.
Because the elections were on the 24th and the results would have been announced on the 25th or 26th, depending on how many days it took to count. So I kind of took an extra day into it. I said, well, wait until the 26th of May and see if the people of Navan think I'm intelligent enough to run. Right?
And you were.
And I said, thank you very much. It was really lovely to meet you. And I left. This is 4.5 years down. I'm still looking for that man every single day.
I love that.
To ask him, so do you think the people of Navan...
He's probably dodging you.
Probably dodging me.
My fire must be watching podcast.
But the essence of sharing that is for us to remember that we're all ambassadors carrying a flag and we have opportunities to change the narrative. But it's dependent on our response to whatever comes or whatever is thrown at us. Very key.
Because a lot of people say, I have values. But when your values get tested,
Tested.
do you
That's
still have those same values?
You really have it, or you hold it.
Yeah.
I think
You said something that's really important, but like I think there's an important thing that we need to add to it. It's also not opportunity; it's also responsibility as well.
Absolutely.
Because you are saying as ambassadors, you're responsible to kind of who you are, what you are presenting, and you know when you were saying that if someone gives it to you, you kind of give it back, you answer immediately. It's like there's a responsibility to educate. Like you can't think that way, or you can't say those types of things. And I think your response to that guy was top class.
I've heard, but a lot of people
Thank you.
nowadays they get tired of educating.
Yeah.
They
Ignorant
say
people,
it's not like my job to educate
educate you
you
anymore.
about whatever you said.
Yeah.
Like is that the right mindset to go about? Or
I can understand how people can get weary, especially if it's something that's coming at you on a daily basis. But you can't, especially if you're in the forefront, you can't be tired.
Yeah.
You're carrying a burden. It's like, when I became the first person to be elected, I was carrying a pace-setter burden.
Yeah.
It's very heavy.
Yes.
Heavy,
So my role was beyond just being a local councillor representing Navan. I was getting calls from all parts of the country where people felt I had to be telling people I'm not the T-Shoko. Because they wanted different stuff. But they felt that they were here with somebody from a migrant community who could represent us at different spheres, right? Yeah. And I had to try and remind them, I have a remit of work to deliver. And this is beyond my remit to deliver. But I can perhaps refer you to
someone,
or speak to somebody on your behalf, but it's not my job to do. And so that's me then trying to do something extra outside my work. And so like you've rightly asked, it's important that we as people who are carrying a responsibility, I think that's the key word here.
Yeah, that's good job.
We have to recognize that whilst we've lived in Ireland for the good part of, I've been in Ireland for 23 years, we're still in learning. Even we are learning to identify our Black Irishness.
Yes.
So we're still in a process of learning. Look at America, look at the UK. They've been at this for years. They have like how many generations of Black British people? America has like, I don't even know how many generations of Black, yet they are still struggling with it. So we have an opportunity to actually bypass a few of those struggles and make it better for ourselves. That's why we can't get tired. Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, all these people never got tired till their last days. They kept fighting and fighting and fighting. But they created kind of like, what's the phrase I'm looking for? Stepping stones and platforms that we today can refer to. And say, yes, we heard him say this. We heard her say this. They fought for this. So we're constantly in the forefront of educating. But we have to educate with the right knowledge. You can't be a teacher when you don't know the subject. And we can't teach. A person who is going to teach has to have patience. Teachers who teach young people in primary school, I think they should be the best paid people. Level of patience. And so if we see ourselves as people who teach and educate, it first of all, be very clear. It doesn't mean we have all the answers. It just means that we're willing to share what we have. And so if we constantly find ourselves becoming the teachers, we have to learn more. I started a project called Culture Pals. And the essence is simple. I just got sick and tired of constantly just talking to people about, no, you need to use it. I'm like, okay, we'll just use a platform. And it's really simply asking people, what do you know about this? Just do a little 1 minute, 2 minute video and let's put it on Culture Pals. We're educating people. And a key part of Culture Pal is for example, we can't tell people not to call, this is an example, don't call Black people nigger. Right? We tell them, don't call Black people nigger. They have to understand why. Because I have a lot of people asking me, but Black people call Black people nigger. Hey, you're not my brother. You're not my sister. You don't understand me. You're not my nigger, right? So, you can't be calling me nigger, all right? So we have to help people understand what's in that, first of all. And then second of all, when we take away what they're used to saying, there's a vacuum. We must fill that vacuum. And then give them what they should be saying instead. And say, you don't have permission to call me a nigger because. And so instead, call me Counselor Yemi. End of story. My son, who is now 14, sorry, he's now 15, when he was, I think he was only just 9 or 8, he was playing on the field with his brother. And he ran home and said, Mom. I'm like, yes, darling. He said, some kids on the field asked me for permission to call me the N-word. I'm like, what?
That's a respectful racist. That's a respectful racist. Crazy.
I'm like,
mad.
what? He said, yeah, they asked for my permission to call me the N-word. And these kids are like 7, 8, 9-year-olds.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, sweetie, what did you say to them? I told them you can't be my friend anymore. I'm like, okay, why did you say that? He said, Mom, because if they want to call me the N-word, they can't be my friend. And if they dare ask me for permission to call me what I don't want to be called, they can't be my friend. And I'm like, put it there, son. Super
100.
proud of you.
100.
So those
100.
are the kinds of information and education that we should be putting out there.
Yeah.
Helping people understand why we say this is not right.
Sure.
Why travelers don't want to be called knackered.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
disrespectful to them.
Yeah.
And then people have to understand why,
Yeah.
you know? So, and then replace it with, this is why you shouldn't call them. And if you, why do you even want to call them a derogatory name anyway?
Yeah.
You know?
That's a
That's
very
true,
big
though.
question.
Why?
Like,
why are you so pressed
Why
on
are you
it,
so
bro?
pressed on calling them that?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And if you want to ask, look, some people will ask stupid questions, but I always say there's no stupid question.
Yeah.
You know? People ask you, oh, is it okay, Yemi, is it okay to call you a black woman? I'm like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Just don't call me a nigger.
Don't call me a nigga. Yeah. I was gonna ask, like, obviously you because you're obviously your CV is so long, and we don't want to keep you here forever to be talking about everything. But like, 30 years of marriage is big. It is quite big. For the young guys and young women going into marriage, you know, because I think right now it's definitely marriage season.
Oh,
bro.
listen.
Like,
There's a spirit of
there's a
marriage
spirit
around.
of marriage going on. Like, even
It grabbed you. We grabbed you.
It grabbed him quickly. That's
Grab
what
me, grab me.
in it, like, just like there's obviously a lot of people, you know, maybe it's just the age that we're at as well.
True.
That man are just getting married as well.
I think that's a big part, yeah.
Because no 15-year-old is having this conversation. But yeah, no, even at that, you know, I'm always curious to find out what the things that we should always kind of like think about, look out for. What is that, you know, magic to keeping it 30 years and still calling him the best man ever? You know, like you hear people married for 30 years. Or Jada that says that we're separated for 7. You know, like Jada, you know. So, like, what is that magic to just, you know, even still like your husband after 30 years?
And like your wife too.
Yeah. I ain't trying to like no husband. I'm trying to like 30 wives.
First of all, yes, it's the marriage season for a lot of young black people.
Yeah.
I can tell you all the seasons. Like when we first came here, it was pregnancy season. We had all the long bellies, pushing buggies and all of that. No, but it's true. You know that. Like, and then it became the school season. Oh yes, this one. Which school did your child go to? And all of that. And then it was uni season.
Okay.
Oh, what college
you've
is your child getting
seen-
to?
you've
I've
seen
seen all the
it.
seasons. Been there, done that. Won the T-shirt.
Yeah.
And then it's marriage season. And you know, you guys are so blessed because if you think of people your age back in Africa, at your age, marriage is the last thing on their mind.
Right now. Yes.
Right now,
Yeah.
marriage is the last thing on their mind. They're still trying to get a job.
Yeah.
Like you guys have a job. You come out of college, you know, you're looking for a job. You get the experience. You got the work. You get the work placement. You're in it like that, and you pick and choose. You know, you guys pick and choose.
Can even
You know?
change careers.
You change careers. They don't have that advantage. So it's a blessing in itself. And so with that done, then you can start kind of like gravitate towards marriage.
Yeah.
And that's a huge phase in a young person's life. First of all, you have to understand that the person you decide to marry is the person you're choosing to spend the rest of your life with. So whether you like it or not, they will impact your life.
Yes.
You have to know that. They will impact your life. So when you're choosing, first choose a friend. I know love is big. Oh, I feel the pitter patter, you know, bubbly. Love is a feeling. It's a feeling, right? When I was younger, we used to say this funny thing about love, that love is a feeling you feel when you feel you're feeling a feeling that you feel that you've never felt before. I talk about spoken words.
And everyone does this.
But we used to say that about love, like, right? And it stuck to me that love is a feeling. And there are times within a marriage that love will fly through the window. The key, one big key that can always bring love back, no matter what happens, is friendship.
Yeah.
So I've been blessed to have built a friendship with my husband over the last couple of years. And that friendship has been the glue. So there are times I don't want to talk to him as my husband. Like, if I had a pillow. But then I miss my friend.
Yeah, 100.
And think about it, right? For those of us who have really good friends, it's easy for you to forgive your friend when they mess up.
Yeah.
But you're upset with your girlfriend and you really don't want to talk to them, with your girlfriend. Because that love thing is telling you, I am not loving you right now. Yeah. But your best friend who is a guy or a girl, the same sex as yourself, they're like, dude, I didn't mean that now, guy, come on. I'm like, I don't do it again. Or you forgive so easily.
Yeah.
That's why it's important that even in the midst of love, which is a feeling, you have a good friend which actions a lot of things for you. Somebody you can depend on, you can trust, you know's got your back, right?
Yeah.
Because a friend will have your back. A good friend will have your back. So it's not enough to just look for a wife or a husband. It's important to look for a friend in whoever you're going to. So if that thing isn't there, start building it. Have a good friend that you're not bored to have conversations with. My husband and I stay up. When we get into bed, like, we don't sleep straight away. We laugh, like, we giggle. Even now, it's one of the best things. Yes, and
Y'all still laughing?
God's honest truth. This is God's honest truth.
Wow.
We have such a good laugh going to bed. I wake up a happy woman every single time.
Wow.
Right? So that brings me to the third thing. There has to be an intentionality to want the marriage to work. You have to... The same way you're looking for a promotion at work, you have to look for a promotion amongst yourselves. Yeah. Right? I want to. So we made a decision years and years ago. After we had a struggle, look, my marriage has not always been perfect.
Yeah.
The first few years of my marriage was a hassle. Like, nobody tells you
A lot
what
of people
to
say
do.
that.
Yes.
Like the first few years
Because
of marriage
you're learning.
is mad.
Yeah.
You're learning, but you guys have an advantage. I didn't get to hear this kind of conversation from anybody. But you guys are blessed. You're hearing
should
it.
be
Nobody.
okay.
Nobody told me this is what you do, this is what you don't do. You just dive in and you hope for the best, right? And so there was a lot of struggle, and there was no one to go to, or this is what I'm going through, or to have a mentor who could tell you, oh, don't say this, don't do that. You know, you just kind of found your way around things.
Yeah.
But the one thing that kept me was I saw a good man.
Okay.
Right? His heart was always in the right place. A good man who had a good heart and had good intentions, but was doing stupid things.
All of us, every nigga.
So I had to, in my mind, separate the two things.
Yeah.
This was a good man. So how do I get this good man to do good things rather than stupid things?
Yeah.
And then, as a woman, I had to understand my role in his life. Right? The Bible calls me his helper. A person who doesn't need help, who is strong and has all the answers, does not need help. Does not need help. So God knew what he was doing when he created a man and said, the woman is going to be your helper. And the Bible says he who finds a wife finds a good thing, right?
Good thing.
And obtains favor. So first thing, the easiest way for a man to have favor from God, easy, it's like that, it's like freebies, is to find his wife. And finding your wife is not when you find the woman you're going to marry. That's the mistake people make. This is my understanding and my revelation of understanding that portion of the Bible. It's not when you find the woman you're going to marry. Oh, that's the girl I'm going to marry. Yeah, I found her. No, you haven't found her. You just saw a girl you're going to put the ring on. Finding your wife, for me, takes us back to the story of Isaac and Rebekah.
Yes.
So Isaac never knew Rebekah. They brought her. He went, said, go to my father's tribe, and find me. He didn't know jack about her. And they brought her in, right? So he didn't know anything. So even we have the advantage of knowing ourselves. We date ourselves, we court ourselves. We know each other, right? But this dude never knew nothing about her. And she arrived. And the Bible says, and she became his wife. I love the Bible because it's very intentional about how it phrases things.
Yeah. Yeah.
It said, she became his wife. First thing was she became his wife. And he loved her. Right? So he couldn't have loved her because he didn't know her.
Yeah.
He couldn't have loved her. We have the advantage of loving each other first before we get married.
Oh, yeah.
And yet things fail. Right?
Yeah.
So we're getting something wrong there.
Yeah.
Right? So she became his wife and he loved her. How did he love her? So much so that he was able to know that he's found the wife. First, he allowed himself to get to know her. Right? This is how he found her. So after when you're going out with your wife, you have the advantage of getting to know, really, really, really know her. And then you know her doubly. You never stop knowing a woman.
Yes,
30 years in, my husband is still knowing me too. So you always want to know. Why is she cranky at this specific time of the month? Why is she upset? Why is she saying apologize? And you're like, come on, like, dude, just apologize and move on. That's what she's asking for. When men understand that, I can guarantee you, a woman will put her life on the line for you, right? She will wake up. When a woman wakes up, when a woman is in love, she wakes up thinking, how do I make this guy's life better? He's my assignment. He's my job. He's my task.
She's amen.
Because she understands that she is your helper.
Yeah.
I knew my assignment was to help this fine young man of mine have a better life, a life that will be the fullest he can ever have. So I wake up every day thinking, and I've always woken up every day over the last number of years I've known him. How do I make his life better? How do I project him to the world and sell him? We have a saying in the part of Nigeria I come from. They say, "Toba tarali elopo olira long one," which means if I sell you short and I speak nonsense about you, when everything is right with us, I can't go back to everybody and say, "You see that thing I said about him? We're just upset. I was just upset." No, you can't do that. You've already said the word. So it's you being able to package yourselves in ways that people see you through each other's eyes. And that's how they see the value that you both carry. When I speak of my husband, before my husband came to join me in Ireland, people thought he was taller and bigger because of the way I projected him. People saw him on the screen. He's an actor. They didn't know, and who had never met him didn't know how tall or how short. But when they saw him, like, he's not too tall, though. I thought he was this tall, hefty man. Why? Because of the way I spoke of him.
Crazy,
because in doing that, I'm adding value to myself as well.
Wow.
So young people have to understand first, find each other. The guys have to take their time, ask a lot of questions. Don't be afraid to ask. Ask a lot of questions. What can I do? What should I do? Tell me how you like it. Tell me what you want. Don't be afraid to ask. Girls like that kind of stuff, right?
Okay.
All right. And then the girls also have to understand that men also have their own needs. The ego is there. They want respect. They want to be the Lord and Master. They want to be in charge. It's okay. Make a man feel he's in charge, but you know you're in charge. Right?
No, listen, I'm all right.
True, though.
Yeah,
True.
I think even a wise man just knows that his woman's really in charge. Just like, I guess, let me.
But wisdom is like, not everyone is a wise man.
It was wise.
And I think I'll just wrap up on this and say, just look out for each other.
Yeah, 100.
Look out before you care for other people. Your responsibility is first to each other. Be each other's backbone. Be there. I can put my hand on my heart and say, if anyone in this world has got my back, it's Yemi Adenuga. 24/7. I know. He won't think twice. He will never throw me under the bus, ever. But how many people can say that?
Yeah.
Even in relationships, how many people have a fear in their heart? But it doesn't come automatically. You have to earn it.
Yeah.
So you have to walk your way to earning it, so that person can trust you enough. And money is a big problem in relationships.
Big one.
Big problem. The money we earn is ours. Is ours. When you have your plan for your family, what do we want? Your marriage is an entity on its own. You're the guy, she's the girl. You're two separate entities. The marriage is an entity. The marriage is as alive as you both are. You have to feed it. Think of it as a bank account. You only pull out what you put in. You can't go into a bank and say you want to pull out 2,000 euros when you only put in 100 euros. It doesn't work.
Tried to
If
do
you
it
need
today.
to pull out 2,000, You know,
So they tried it the other day.
doesn't work, does it?
No, it doesn't.
If you're asking for a loan, you know, or overdraft, you literally have to feel you. They will ask you for your father's leg and your mother's hand, just for, you know.
Yeah.
So you have to put in what you want so you can pull it out.
Yeah.
So always think of your marriage as a separate entity that needs feeding. It is a living, breathing entity that wants to live.
Yeah.
Yes,
It
100.
wants to be alive. Feed it. And when you feed it, you pull out what you're fed into it. I hope that makes sense to you guys.
Yes.
We've been blessed.
God be blessed.
We've been blessed.
This is my second sermon today.
And pray together.
Yes.
A family that prays together stays
Stays
together.
together,
We have a
100%.
time in my house. It's called family night on Friday. We put off the phones, no laptop, no nothing. We let the boys pick the movies because they're the youngest in the house. We sit together. We ask, "What's your week been like?" We stay in each other's lives.
It's good.
You know, get to know what's happening, so we're not kind of like disconnected. Very important.
It's class. Anyways, we've come to the end of the pod. We don't want to keep you too long.
Finally.
Yeah, we asked a question before we get out, and it's called "Where's your head at?" So, where's your head at, bro?
4 key things about opportunity. That's what my head's at. Yeah, I think if there's many things that stuck to me, but I think I appreciate how that was broken down, and it's very concise. And the most important part was point number 4, which is passing it on. Yeah, so that's kind of what. Yeah, that's what my head's at. Yeah.
What about you, bro? Where's your head at?
Hungry. Hungry. And this has actually been we don't say much, but it's been one of the good conversations that we've had.
Yeah,
Very
definitely.
good and insightful and a lot of wisdom there. So thank you very much for coming on. And taking time out of your busy schedule to come on.
Yeah, and I mean busy.
Yeah.
And I mean busy. My head is at not too hungry, but I would love it. I would actually love it flipping suya, a box of suya right now. Oh, did me well, boys, honestly. But yeah, no, my head's at. I'm actually, I was thinking yesterday, I was going to put a post on Instagram. Like, I don't talk all the time about it, but it's kind of like, sometimes you look at the journey of, yesterday we released tickets for one of our programs, and it just went in 30 minutes. And in that,
400 people.
400 people.
Yeah.
And I was texting one of I was texting Darren who does it, who we're partnering up with, and I was kind of looking at it like, this isn't something that's kind of normal. Do you know what I mean? And it's something I'm very, very grateful for. I just sat there in the studio yesterday. I was just kind of very grateful for, like,
Yeah, it's overwhelming, isn't
it's
it?
overwhelming, like, that's happening. But then even sitting here today and talking to you, just put it another kind of like, fire, just kind of like motivation. And I think that's what you're talking about. You're a testament of what you talk about. Like, you literally practice what you preach, because you're an encounter. Like when people we sat down with you, you gave us about an hour and a half, and you just literally fed and just dropped. And you're not stingy with the information you have. You're giving it to us, and like, it's now motivated me to kind of like step up a little bit more myself. So. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. It's been an honor and a pleasure. And
Thank you so much.
I look forward to all the great things that still lie ahead. Even in the midst of all that you've done. Yeah. But yet there's so much more that lie ahead. A lot has been done, still much more to do.
Yeah, 100.
And I am really grateful to God for young people like yourselves who are making a difference, who are making an impact. And don't discount the things you've done. Yeah, don't ever sell yourself short, because you are making the difference. You are making the difference. And with that said, I want you to raise your right hand.
Yes.
With your right hand, and put it on your left shoulder. And say, "Well done." Say your name. Say your name.
I was scared.
Well done from what?
Well done, Dave. You done a great job.
You must always remember to, give yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
You celebrate yourself and give yourself a little pat on the shoulder, and like, yeah, that was a good one. Because most times you won't get it from other people, because they probably don't get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
But celebrate yourself and appreciate yourself.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Guys.